Yeah, I actually think the Fantasy National ownership calculations are the most accurate, which is what I've been reading off the last few weeks.
Yeah, if you're not using FanShare Sports, I think Fantasy National is right there as far as one of the best. So I like what you're looking at, Mark. If Cantlay's that highly owned, though, I don't know. I might drop down to a couple guys in the 9K range instead to pair with Tiger instead of going higher end and then digging for scrubs at the bottom end.
Surprisingly, the highest owned guy is in the next level, which is Kuchar.
Yeah, that's not surprising. He's got a fantastic course history here. He's finished top 15 for the last 5 years. The year that he didn't, he was 26th. Mm-hmm. And we know his form's been good this year. Despite him not paying caddies, he's a pretty good play.
Yeah, he's been playing really good this year.
So why are you writing off Rory for this?
I wouldn't say I'm completely writing him off. I just think at his price point, I don't love the way he's been driving the ball. He didn't hit it particularly straight at the PGA Championship. I just don't have a good feel for him this week. I think he may struggle. I think he might even flirt with the cut line this week.
Really? Well, I'm seeing here he's got 10 starts this year and 9 top 10 finishes, and leads the tour in distance on all drives, shots gained off the tee, and shots gained tee to green.
He's been great. I cannot dispute that.
Do you think he's going to flirt with the cut line?
It's the last couple of weeks he just hasn't been that impressive.
Yeah, I think he's just due to go through kind of a stretch where he's not as spectacular as he was. It's hard to keep yourself mentally dialed in the entire season. And historically, this year aside, he's been a guy who's been a little bit more hot and cold the last few years on the PGA Tour. So I think he's going to go through a little bit, at least by his standards, a little bit more of a cold stretch here. So,
all right. So he's going into 100% of my builds this week. Gotcha.
Do it.
We
got to get these tee times dialed in here, because if we're doing a little stacking of the PM AM Thursday to Friday wave, we got to get that figured out here.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep talking about it. Maybe Mark can pull up tee times. He's really good at pulling up this info.
That'd be good. Yeah, I mean, as far as the upper range goes, 10K and above, those are the guys I'm looking at this week. Cantlay I may reconsider because his ownership is going to be very, very high, apparently. But I like Tiger for sure. I'm locking T-Dub into the vast majority of my lineups and calling it a day, trying to find some value down below.
I dig it. Well, let's look down a little early. You already said you're not a fan of Jordan Spieth. And his DraftKings scoring will show you that. I mean, he is the lowest average points per game on DraftKings until you get down to – let me find the guy. Still looking. Until you get down to Henry Stenson and Kevin Na. So basically, yeah, the top 20 guys, he's the lowest scoring guy at only 64 points.
The thing with Spieth that we've touched on so many times in the show is that he has relied so much the last couple of weeks on his putting. He contended for 3 rounds last week and then fell off the map when his putting actually regressed a little bit on Sunday. And I can't expect him, even though these are very Augusta-like greens and he putts those very well, I can't expect him to go out and gain freaking 6 shots on the field in his first 2 rounds and do that time and time again. Like, it's going to cool off. That's just the way putting is, even for one of the best mid-range putters in the world. But his ball striking numbers aren't there. He hits it short and not accurately. I think he's going to struggle this week quite a bit. So I much prefer several guys in the 9K range over him this week. That's for sure.
All right, so we've touched a little bit on Justin Thomas. Kuchar is going to be super high owned, enough to keep you off of him.
In GPPs, I mean, if I'm playing cash and then playing GPP lineups with guys that I don't have as much in cash, he's going to be a guy I'll have in cash and not in GPPs. I'd be afraid to keep him out of my cash lineups at his price point and his likelihood of finishing top 15. Mm-hmm. It's very hard not to play him, but
sure. Yeah, I see here second in all-time earnings at this tournament. He's got a win here, 10 top 10 finishes, and let's see, he's second in greens and regulation on tour, and the current FedEx Cup point leader.
Yeah, hard to argue with his quality of play this year, that's for sure. But when I play GPPs, I'm playing to win. So if you're playing Matt Kuchar, who's 30% owned,
it ain't going to help you.
Probably not winning a GPP, even if he finishes top 10. He's going to have to finish like top 2 or 3 for you to feel like you miss out that much on having him. So I would rather I like Finau actually a lot just above him.
Sure.
He's got 3 top 13 finishes in the last 4 years. Just played great in his last couple events. So I am definitely on Mr. Finau. I like Hideki at 9,100.
I was just going to say, man, I keep swinging at Hideki, and he just doesn't pay off for me. Is this the week? I mean, he's playing well. He just can't finish in that top 10 this year.
Yeah, his problem's been he hasn't been able to put 4 good rounds together. This is the kind of course, and as much as he's like not a great putter, he tends to putt better on faster greens for whatever reason. So I actually like Hideki a lot this week. He's won here. We talked about earlier. He got his first career tour win here in 2014. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him contending down the stretch on Sunday. So I like him at 9,100 as well. Xander, I'm not as high on. Just hasn't been driving straight enough.
Yeah, but this is a world-class player that's going to see some of his lowest ownership on the year.
What's his projection?
I mean, I'm looking at 8%. I bet you Mark has a better number.
Who? Xander?
Xander.
Oops, wrong page.
I mean, it's hard to hate Xander because he's got the upside, but
he's only 8%.
Mm-hmm.
What's Decky at? Like 15?
18.
18? Yeah. I'm still willing to take a stand on Hideki and put him in at least 25% of lineups. I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't finish top 15 this week. I just think he sets up so well tee to green, and if his putter is even like average relative to the field, he'll finish top 15.
So what about your boy Bryson? It looks like everybody is off him this week. 5% ownership.
We start in the 9K range, or the 8K range, I should say.
Oh yeah, he's the top of the 8K range. Yeah, sorry, I thought he was right at 9.
No, I mean, Bryson's always a guy that if he's low owned, I want to get on, but his ball striking has been so bad the last few weeks that it's tough to do so. I don't think I quite have the stones to get on him this week.
Me neither. He's playing so bad. I really like the guy and what he's all about, but man, he's just all over the place, and his putting is atrocious.
His putting's been really bad. I mean, he's defending champ too, so he's going to have some media obligations. I don't know. This is. I always like to be getting on guys before the majority of the field does, so you get him at low ownership when they bounce back. And he's got the pedigree, he's got the track record to show that he's got the potential, but the way he's been hitting, man, I just can't. And also putting horribly. I cannot get on him this week at 8.9. Even though it's like an enticing price point for him, I just can't do it. There's guys below him I like a lot more.
Yeah, this mid-range 8K is like my favorite spot. I'm finding myself as I'm building 4 or 5 lineups here as we talk, really digging Adam Scott, Henrik Stenson, and Roy Sabatini. I just love where they're at and the value. I can put a lot of guys above and below them, and it's just I just really like those guys in that range.
Yeah, I'm liking Henrik Stenson a lot, and I actually like Kokrak a lot at 8,200.
Well, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, but Kokrak is my fade. I think a lot of guys are going to be on him, and his numbers the last couple of events, although he hit it pretty well at the PGA, I just feel like he's due for a letdown. He's played so well for so long. At a certain point, you just kind of come back down to earth, and I don't think he's an $8,200 player. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather take a chance on some guys below him.
How about a Tiger Phil showdown on Sunday?
I mean, it'd be fun. we talked about earlier how much of a premium there's going to be on hitting fairways. And he doesn't really do that well, although he's had a pretty decent track record here the last few years. I can't get on Phil. You guys know I was burned by Phil when I got back on him a few weeks ago. So,
all right.
I'm
on Phil. I'm on Woods. Wait, no, I'm not on Woods. I'm on Phil, and I'm on Rory. Gotcha.
So I figured out why Chris didn't want to be on the call. It's because Kevin Na withdrew.
Oh yeah, no, he's shamed. He didn't know what to do with all of the fame, and he's got to take a week to recoup.
I mean, I can't blame him. He's probably going to be off on the island somewhere, just having a good time with his wife. But if anything, I think Chris would have some reasons to brag because he's back on his boy last week, and he put him in his lineup, and the guy ended up winning and basically carried Chris to the victory in our league. So
yeah, $6 well earned.
As much as absolutely. As much as I would love to, I can't rip on Chris for the Kevin Na thing this week. Whether he's here to defend himself or not, I cannot do it.
True story. All right, so who are your other plays in this 8K range? So I told you I really like Adam Scott and Henry Stenson. What else you got here? What do you think of Sabatini? He had quite a run so far this season.
Yeah, Rory's been amazing. I mean, still, even with last week, he hasn't finished outside of the top 39 in like 4 months. Even with that being said, it's a lot like Kokrak. I just don't feel like he's an $8,300 player in this kind of field. My favorite is actually the 7K range. I like Adam Scott a lot. I will have a sprinkle of Louis because he's going to be very low owned and he drives the ball incredibly well. Great tee to green guy. That's pretty much it. I mean, I love Adam Scott, love Louis at lower ownership. Don't
3%.
Yeah, I will take my chances on Louis. Give me 1 out of 5 lineups for Louis. I'll be happy. And if he burns me, he only burns me in 20% of my lineups. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you said the 7K range is your favorite. Mark, any more comments on the 8K range before we move down?
No, I don't think so.
I like it. All right, so as I stated as we opened the day, that a couple of my favorite plays were here, Keegan Bradley and Luke List. Are you on board with those guys? Am I out of my gourd?
I can't say you're completely out of your gourd. They're both good tee to green guys, which sets up very well for this week. They're very similar players. They're both great tee to green. If they actually putt reasonably decent, they can definitely catch fire. I expect Luke List to play a little better than Keegan. He's just shown a little bit more of a hot streak with the putter recently, and Keegan just almost always putts horribly, so I can't really get on him. But a couple of guys I do like at the top of the 7K range, and I'd be curious to hear their ownership, Mark. Emiliano Grillo and Kyle Stanley. What are their ownership percentages looking like?
That's funny. Those are the two I was looking at, too. Kyle Stanley is 9.7, so 10%.
Okay.
And Grillo, 15%.
Yeah, Grillo, for whatever reason, is just like a DFS darling for golf. Knowing his ownership percentage, I don't love it as much, but I'm probably still willing to go with it at 79 over guys like your Kokrak's and your Sabatinis a few $100 more. He's got a very good course history here. 2 top 25s in his last 3 years, finished 40th 2 years ago. I think if he can just avoid the 74-75 round, Grillo could find himself up in the top 10 at the end of the week. I think his game's been trending nicely. You're just waiting for that week where he puts 4 rounds together, which hasn't quite been his forte, but ball striking wise, he's got the potential to do so. He's a great approach player, hits a lot of fairways. I'm still willing to get on him at a little bit higher ownership percentage. And Kyle Stanley at 10, I'm not scared of that at all. I think his game's finally coming around. He's got great course history here, finished in top 10 the last 2 years. So Stanley's a guy that I want to get on for sure.
Yeah, how's his putting been? I don't recall seeing his putting the last few weeks. I know his strokes off the tee, and his short game's been pretty good, but they didn't really show a lot of him putting.